Shall I take center stage? A very warm welcome and good morning, everyone. As Nina already said, we have been collaborating for 14 years with Horst, with Werk2, with you. It's really surprising what has all happened over those years, just considering that we now actually output 150,000 pages annually through the Print Classic module very efficiently, and it's really astonishing what has changed before the print system, before its introduction, and now after it. Well, it was not, we're just satisfied, we'll put up with it for us. No, we always wanted to go one step further, take it to the next level, because the brief was the 100% automated Hoffmann catalog. Well, this little rocket taking off down there in Munich, it was just the right reason for us to say, where do we want to go and what are the steps we want to take to get there? What do we want to achieve? Well, we want to achieve to reliably, flexibly, and reliably produce our publications. And this is why Florian's team, he is the team lead for publications in media, and Evia, she's the project manager for the layout automation IT project, dared to start cooperation with you, Werk2, and just imagine what we used to have and still have. What's the state of the art at our company? We have 100 employees producing during 4 months of 3,500 catalog pages in various languages, in various combinations of languages and currencies, in keeping with the principle we came up with 12 years ago. And now the point is, what do we do next? There are questions such as, why does it take so long? Why are complete content departments in existence? Why do we need third-party forces or resources in marketing to support this function? Hey, guys, I just need a quick brochure for an event. Can't you compile it for me? Oh, customer XYZ now quickly needs an extract from the catalog. And what's our answer to this? We can't do that. It's individual, it's personalized, it takes time. And when shall we do it? And this is exactly why we said it can't stay that way. And Flo, maybe you can tell us why it is so hard to automate and what the situation looks like now. Yeah, welcome. Good morning from me as well. Jürgen, I would like to shed some light on our previous print process. I tried to highlight this in our little Hoffmann ecosystem. Well, how do we work today? As Jürgen just said, we produce between 3,500 and 4,000 pages within 4 months with 100 people. The German master catalog, as you can see in the left side. The legs are the systems. From the left leg of the Hoffmann boy, so to speak, there is the PIM with the visuals from AIM, is then actually mixed through the print suite by Werk2, then actually converted in the InDesign concept, and then the templates are added, and 80% of the exports are automated. Then the header, in the head, there's the creative center. This is our marketing department, and they finalize the layouts. They actually scale the size of the images and then actually optimize the white spaces in order to make the German master pages ready for international duplication. And after the layout, the real work actually only starts, because then we manage processes and then adapt the languages, the foreign languages. The German master is duplicated. One fits all is our approach that we follow. So we duplicate our documents, then actually pull the foreign language content into the documents. Then we rotate the 120,000 pages and bring them to the subsidiaries. They go through the proofreading steps, everything you know from production yourselves, until at the end of the day you get the data from the page catalogs, the browse catalogs that you see in the apps, and the data sent to the print shop. And the wheel that is constantly turning. This is the way production works. And well, Jürgen said the market requirements are changing. We have to respond to the fast pace needs in our business, but we do not want to forego our catalog and all of the quick publications. We want to continue printing, and we also need the catalog for comparability, because in web shops, customers cannot compare articles so well yet. The print media are perfectly suited, better suited for that. A whole correction processes are based on the catalog production, and only then we look at the content. We heard it yesterday in a presentation. This just shows how important the print media is. Although we've been saying for 20 years print will actually die out, print graphics, the specialists will die. No, they won't. We need it as a reference book internally and externally. We don't want to forgo it. The Hoffmann catalog is no longer a holy Bible like it was the case 12 years ago. The e-shop, the web shop is increasing in importance, but we still need it. And this is why we took it to the next level. The layout automation. In the long term, we want to automate our catalog, at least the product pages, 100%. And Eva, well, I would like to ask you to take over. No, not right, Jürgen. Sorry. Tell us, Jürgen. Tell us how the layout automation started. Well, I teased it, basically. What was the issue? In the 4 months, we have a tremendous workload to bear and spread across several departments. During these 4 months, a quarter of the year, there's just one topic only to address, and that's the catalog, and everything else is neglected. Why? Because the printing deadline needs to be complied. Only once in a lifetime, we actually missed the deadline. This was the first time. It wasn't tragic in hindsight. But this workload actually ties up capacities that could actually be leveraged better in today's economic situation. And this is why what was not wrong 12 years ago, it was okay 12 years ago. It was exactly the right thing. We couldn't have saved the world back then. But from today's view, and in hindsight, we know we could have been more innovative, more courageous. We heard it during the panel discussion and address new topics. But there's always this almighty power of the orange catalog, and we're trying to disrupt this piece by piece now. Individual customer requirements. This is not new, but it simply does not exist for us. It's hard to imagine. But they're so focused on this 1/8 kilo volume. It's unbelievable. And yes, it's not only the issue that the products need to be supplied just in time. No, the translations have to be prepared on time. Every 2 weeks after German, we receive the translations. This is an organizational masterpiece, I would say, to finally actually have the printed catalog. But where are we headed? We want to move away from the volumes. We want to make sure that designers can be creative again. We want to automate processes. There's still a lot of manual work involved upon individual request. Of course, systems supported, sure, but it's no longer state of the art. This is where we want to go. For our customers, for ourselves, we want to make things better. And this is why we also want or would have a higher production speed away from the 4 months, depending on the requirements made from the technical department. So this is how it all started, that the sales force said, we need something in our hands to approach our customers. And Eva, how have you tackled this topic, layout automation? What were the first steps? Well, the basic idea was to say, well, we would like to offer an internal possibility to draw up customer-specific publications, but without manual effort. We said, how do we go about this best? Well, at the beginning, we have to have an assortment. So first of all, we want to offer the possibility of compiling an assortment composed of various articles or using existing ranges. Once you've created an assortment so that you can reuse it. That was the first idea. Then we said we need a front end that is easy, where we don't need any onboarding or trainings for our colleagues. This turned into a self-service later. And this was to exist of the, it was supposed to produce product pages automatically. And then we said we need to enrich it with content. And the first ideas was, well, let's add a cover page or back cover and individualize it so that we have 3 types, the front page, the back page, and the product pages in between. And that you, at the end, have a PDF that you can use with your customers. This was the basic idea for this project. And what is this layout automation based on now? Could you give us a little more output? We still use our print suite as in the classical catalog production. We use the print planner with a facet or segment module. We're about to change over to the data manager in Nearwise, and the changeover will take place in next month. And what we've developed, the self-service, was done in cooperation with Werkzweig from the outset. This is based on structured product data on the one hand and on visual rules on the other hand, so-called InDesign templates, like for the classical catalog production. And you want to talk about the background data, don't you? Yes. This was also a challenge because, as very often, data forms the basis for this layout automation as well. Data is also a new classification system also proved a booster. Matthias sits here. He was responsible for all of this. But it's also corporate targets why we're building up new structures. This was the background. Back then, 12 years ago, in the period before that time, we had built up a new class-based structural system and oriented strictly towards what we had before, the printed catalog. Nicely individualized. Each product area has its own terminology. Nothing was coordinated. 14,000 terms. I actually released on the 14th of October at 2:30 a.m. and I'll never forget that deadline. And what happened? Well, there are tricks to it, because the easiest example, one said length, the other said overall length, and the third person said total length. So what is it? There's no comparability. This, of course, also impacts the digital channels. where this actually develops into an even more grave issue. Print is always the compression of the real truth. It's always the correlation of a variety of data that have to be displayed one way or the other. Print shows a combination, whereas the print shows the individual product. And this is the reason why print is so complex in terms of layout. Everybody thinks, yeah, well, it's a feature on that page. Try to make it appear somewhere. But where do we want to go? What we saw in the process, and this is what we want to benefit from in future. We not only need our data for layout automation, and this is the big benefit why we're doing this, we also use it for, need it for AI. Data form the basis for all of the future channels that we want to serve even better in future. You build a new structure that is to comply with all of this, and that also is driven with AI assistance. This is a big deal. And then you find out, Eva is familiar with this, there's something missing. We discussed this yesterday. We talked about it. There's no more scalability. But would we need this to include new product areas? No, it's not possible because individual data is missing. And this is the point. Thanks, Matthias, for saying it so clearly yesterday. It's not about correcting the individual mistake or the error, but it's about finding out why the error occurred in the first place. This is the point. We no longer want to actually have individual people study the individual data. No, we also want to automate this data generation because we want to accelerate there as well, because this helps self-service, because the data is simply available, and because one important point is content first. This is where we need to go. Otherwise, the whole concept won't work. And this valley of tears, we really went through it, and we're still actually going through it. Let's not be mistaken. But we're attacking these gradually. But flow. What else is there in terms of challenges?
Yes, I brought along two challenges to talk about. You already said we had printing optimized data in the PIM system 12 years ago, 14 years ago, when we started producing our catalogs. We built up data in the PIM system to support the project and to get it done as quickly and in an uncomplicated manner as possible. And now we have the problem that our complete print production is based on a print structure. And as you said, we've got one item that has to go here or there. And on the left, we still have some space where we could place a table. And now we have our print maintenance structure where we determine which article belongs where and on which page it's going to be placed. And on the one hand, it's a lot of effort for the content team to keep up this maintenance structure, to constantly update it. And for us, it's a lot of work when planning the pages and allocating the products per pages. And let me tell you, it's not a lot of fun when you have 500 pages. It's a lot of effort and work. So we had to come up with something new. And like the colleagues from Vago presented yesterday, we worked with segments, and based on the segments, we structured new segment catalogs. We looked, for example, at the product group personal protection gear and the product group gloves, trousers and jackets, and accordingly the data is then grouped and our pages are created completely based on data and not on tables any longer. So our structure can and must not be presented one-to-one like it's in the current catalog, and consequently the catalog is going to be structured completely different. And the famous Valley of Tears, we probably still have one ahead of us. The other issue is completeness of data and need to check the data. As I said, we check our data based on the catalog, and this is the completely wrong approach. But it worked, and until now it worked very well. So our printing process generated a catalog of 3,500 German language pages and additional foreign language pages. And apart from our day-to-day work, the catalog is something we do as an add-on, and one person is looking after it. But our business requirements have changed, and in the future we need different checkup processes. The content needs to be checked prior to printing. And consequently, apart from the 120,000 products that are listed in our catalog, now the remaining 900,000 articles that we have can be checked simultaneously. So these are the two challenges in the context of automation that came up in the project. And Eva, we spoke a lot about data and data structure. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the templates? Yes, when we look at the templates, the main challenge that we were confronted with was the transfer of our traditional print work to the new approach, which means we started by looking at our existing catalog, and then we tried to base the new layout on the old catalog. We knew that it wasn't going to remain exactly the same, but we wanted to upkeep the existing layout. Here on the slide, you can see the traditional catalog on the left and the new layout on the right. So we thought about how we could use the previous manual work and then automate it accordingly. That wasn't really very easy, to be honest, because manual decisions are being made, but every product is different, every page is different, so it was difficult to come up with some general rules. And in hindsight, we're not really convinced that it was exactly the right approach. Maybe we should have come up with a completely new layout and not base it on the old layout, but because the ultimate result is very different. So we need to change our thinking. We need to change our approach, which we will continue to have to do. So we came up with one layout now, one template, which you can see on the right-hand side of this slide. And now we're thinking about whether we could have different approaches for different kinds of publications, what sort of layouts we should have. This is going to be part of our overall production strategy. So it doesn't really make any sense to think about whether we had the wrong approach now, but you can see the layout is the one we have on the right now. So we said we want to segment the catalog, which means we set up the data based on a completely new structure. And one thing we learned is we can't summarize all the products in one table like we did in the past, but to us this is not a matter of losing quality, but just making the whole logic for the future more scalable. Right. So I would now like to give you an overview how the self-service works. Together with Werk 2, we thought about what we could do to make a user-friendly application for the end user. And I spoke to Horst and I said, I want to have something similar to the Amazon order structure. I just want the customer, the end user, to be able to use 4 clicks of a mouse to get their result. So here on the left, you can see the first draft that Horst provided. And Horst said, let's set up a self-service. And this service enables the user to put together a publication with a click, entering prices for certain items. And as Eva said, we included a relevant assortment. So how did it work? And what were our learnings? The development effort was quite big, both on our side and on Werk 2 sides. We then worked with the core application, but at the same time we had a Hoffmann development strung for the self-service, because we always came up with new ideas and new amendments. And this led to the 2 development strings. Then we decided maybe that wasn't the perfect approach, and it might make sense to go back to the core, because the testing effort was huge on our part. And based on this, we came up with the solution a couple of months later, which was going back to the core. And mainly the difference was visual. The button wasn't placed on the left, but on the right instead. And maybe it wasn't a round icon, but a square icon. So it weren't really huge differences. We thought it would require much more effort and that people in our company would object, but that didn't really happen. So we took a more relaxed approach, and we said, let's use the core, and if anything doesn't work, then let's move on to the second development string. But in hindsight, I would now say the core is okay. Let's just develop the items that we need to develop, and let's keep it simple. So apart from the test effort, we have a continuous development, and we can benefit from the idea of other customers. For example, if Horst says, hey, look, this might be a good idea, then this is a benefit we get on top throughout the process of the development. Right. Eva, do you want to show us the self-service in a little bit more detail and the current status? Yes. What you see now is the actual current status of our self-service. This works in 4 very simple steps that lead you to the publication, the final publication. Let's look at the individual steps. We kept it as simple as possible, so there's nothing much you can do wrong. In the first step, the user just has to enter a name and a description of the publication so they can find them later on. And we conscientiously put together only a few rules to make sure that the user is very free in determining how to design their publication. The second step offers the opportunity to create a front and a back cover according to the marketing guidelines of our marketing team. So here you have a choice, and we are in the process of individualizing this even further. So, for example, you might place a customer logo on the front page or a contact person and contact address. This is something we're working on at the moment. And looking at the third step, which is the assortment. And here we decided to use an existing assortment tool, which we are using throughout the company. This is being used for electronically generated catalogs, and this we used and integrated to see whether we could work with it. So we have certain requirements for the tool, specifically targeted at the automation, but we then found out that the existing tool did work quite well. So this tool also gives us an opportunity to add new features. So in this tool, you order your assortment, go back to the self-service, then you select the assortment, and then in the first step, all you need to do is click OK, and then the product pages are generated according to the selected assortment. Regarding the performance, when we look at small publications containing maybe 10 pages, then it takes 3 to 4 minutes. So you can generate this very quickly. And if we have larger publications, for example, our catalog for the personal protection gear, then we have about 400 pages which we can generate over the course of 1 hour. So the performance is great, but still we don't want to wait for a whole hour. So according to the length and the scope of the assortment, we might lose the user within this hour. So we decided not to look at the performance, but to send the end user an email with a link to the PDF, so they don't really have to care whether it takes 10 minutes or 1 hour. We just send them the link with the finalized PDF. So that's the current status regarding the assortment. Together with a test user group, we started the testing process. So we focused on this test user group to get early practice-based feedback. And based on this feedback, we focused our assortment exclusively on the personal protection equipment because the products are a little bit easier to describe than the other products, and also the resources and the requirements of the company matched in the personal protection equipment. So this is now offered via the self-service. We are now in the process of onboarding additional product areas. We're talking about segmentation, how the data can be grouped on the relevant pages. We're working with product management to see how we can continuously improve this. And then we want to expand our user group. The whole thing starts in the German language, and we want to get all the feedback for one language first, but now we notice that there's a lot of requests for additional languages, so we are now planning a launch with the new foreign languages for our catalog. And maybe Jürgen, you can now tell us how we can use the tool in future. Yes. It's quite funny. Usually you think about the big issues and topics, and maybe a better approach is just to take it step by step. So we looked at the Chinese catalog to start with, and of course I don't really speak Chinese, so it's difficult for me to check the Chinese data. So the initial idea was to have an opportunity to approach the customer individually with a small and targeted assortment according to the customer's needs and with individual pricing for the customer. So that was the initial idea. And then we thought, if we do this automated, then we should have an automated solution for the entire catalog. So what did we learn from this? We decided not to do either. We want to take the middle path. We want to take it step by step, starting with one product area, which in our case is the personal protection equipment, because this is a product area that works well for the catalog. and the articles are not the most complicated to display. The data was sufficiently available, and also for our customers it was relevant. So this is a product area in the Hoffmann company that was relevant, and that was a good match for the first catalog. Once we had completed this, we wanted to add additional products and expanded the languages from German to additional foreign languages. Then we looked at the pricing, and the pricing as Hoffmann is quite complicated because each customer has their own individual prices, which provides additional challenges apart from the layout of the catalogs. So prices are a complicated matter, and the change in companies we learned yesterday is a huge effort already. And because of this, we adapted our project according to the requirements and the environment and looked at what's possible for us as a company to do with still offering a value add. And we're going to continuously progress this further. Of course, we're going to introduce new languages, and of course, we're going to introduce new prices to the catalog. But all in good time, we're going to take this step by step. We'll have ultimately individual brochures with prices targeted for the customers, but always based on requirements from the departments. That's the most important thing. It's not us now who tell the departments you're going to get this, that, or the other. We are now deciding together with the department, with the sales guys, with the product management department, what the most important steps are to take, but also to see how the departments can support us and our project. This is equally important. And one more important topic is the interplay of the different systems. It might be the case that Print Classic might be replaced by the automated approach at some point, but whether it's going to be in 28, that might be our goal today, but things are going to change in the meantime, and there might be new topics which might be even more important, and we're going to adapt accordingly. But this is our current roadmap, our current vision, the idea how we want to take this further, but we also need to see how we can integrate systems like CRM, like MDM, and the whole data process behind this is networked more and more, and new interdependencies are created. But this also gives us an opportunity to integrate a part like the layout automation in the entire process and actively use it.
Or this small tools, for instance, that you no longer need. I would hope to see Excel disappear sooner or later. This is a database that is already obsolete when you save it. It's great for calculating charts, but it's not a workflow tool. Or all of the other things it is currently used for. This is why, connected with the self-service, the internal customers, all Salesforce, all of the sales guys should be able to retrieve independently, click together the parts and pieces they need. This is our vision. This is where we want to go, and we're on the right track. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, thanks to the Hoffmann Group. We're trying to imitate you. One question. How would you track the usage? self-service via CRM. You send this catalog to the customer. Does ET call home, or how do you track success? This is a topic in actual fact that we have not really addressed yet. It also is connected to other topics in the company. We're even happy to be able to offer this service. But the connection with the link with CRM, there are other projects that are ongoing, and only later they will be connected to the layout automation. But yes, we want to link it with the customer to see what is already available, who has shipped what to the customer, an important aspect, to actually draw conclusions. Then all this traceability of marketing, to be able to show this. But to be perfectly honest, we have not reached this state yet. Well, I think we have to give it some thought, because we're investing quite amounts in publishing automation, and all of the other channels can say, well, this was our conversion rate, and now we also have a technical possibility for publishing and to introduce this kind of tracking. I think this could be a cool thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's a must to me. But due to the resources available, other questions? Again, thanks very much. Maybe a specific question. The old layout featured little pictograms with product information about the product capabilities. Have you textualized these or just omitted these? What happened with the pictograms? I can answer this question. This was a hot topic. Yes. We will forego pictograms. We're currently foregoing pictograms, and I do hope, and I'm pretty confident it'll stay that way, because we have a web shop, and we actually, for when the pictograms overnight, so to speak. Well, I don't know whether people have simply not realized it, but nobody screamed loud. No, we will have attributes in the charts, or we will cover these attributes in the long text, and this is the same approach we're following here in the printed catalog. Well, are you doing this based on the range now, or assortment based? You will combine these or compile these for Salesforce, but there's no link to the eShop. I have a PDF that has been personalized for the customer, but it would be a great bridge to send it out and actually lure them into the web shop where I find the same assortment, and I simply click it together and put it in my shopping basket and do the checkout there. Well, what we do have is when you click on the price, you have a direct link with the web shop article page. From the print catalog, we know when you click on the article that this article ends up in the shopping cart. This is not done for the layout automation yet. There were lots of discussions whether we need it or not, but we have not received any requests for this yet. And in addition, there was the idea to offer assortment lists, build proper pages for automated publications. This is ongoing, but we have not implemented it yet. But yes, this is where we want to go. Maybe I have to add that the representation of articles in the shop is not done via print. It's done through a different channel. If there's a little brochure for the customer that I want to export, then I do not want to really reduce the customer to this brochure. The question is always to offer as much as possible to the customer to trigger widespread orders. But this is shop layers that are not really linked to the layout automation, but they relate to what I said before. We're getting more and more connected. You just pointed it out. we will have to tackle these issues, whether we like it or not. But as I said, technology is in the limelight now. Horst? Well, if you allow me to, I think I would like to make 2 or 3 translations from Hoffmann to the audience. The first thing Florian just said, long text. Everybody will think a long text is a long text that is managed within the PIM containing more information. Who would understand it like this? Show of hands, please. No! The long text does not exist. The long text is compiled on the fly based on the groupings. And this is also one of the reasons why there are no more pictograms. Because when you compile the catalog and say, I group by protection class, IP protection class, then I do not require the IP protection icon if I only show all of the products in one IP range. This is all completely dynamic. And it's also important to understand why Hoffmann, for the segment module, the invention of Argo, why they opted in favor of this approach. The output structure, the way the catalog was built up 12 years ago, and they discussed about whether to do this or not. But then they said, well, we've been doing this catalog for 1,000 years, and it has to look exactly the same in terms of structure. This structure is now flexible. It's completely dynamic. This means if my PPE, my glove ranges are sold to a workshop, then this can have a completely different structure than when I want to sell protective shoes to a chemical plant. And this personalization broken down to a group of experts or to the individual customer not only refers to the prices, although we learned that this is highly complex, it not only refers to the range through the assortment. And please never forget the assortment at Hoffmann is static now. We have other customers where the range is put together through AI, where the AI decides, well, we're selling these articles, and the AI says, well, we could also offer the ranges that we're not selling yet. So they have a dynamic assortment compilation, and the structure, therefore, is also dynamic. The way the catalog looks and the way it is put together, the question was before, can I regroup my article for each individual customer? Yes, also dynamically. All of this is possible. And this is all in these long texts, hidden, so to speak.